has a very okay. Is that Cassie again? So I got this job and I was working on the accounting system for my department, which was a project. We were building a $4 million cyclotron to treat cancers, and it was in the old radiation center of the Veterans Administration. And I rarely knew what the fuck was going on. My accounting system was abysmal because I didn't care. But it was a new project, and I was in an empty building with only one other person there, and he wasn't there all the time. So I slept a lot there. Didn't get much accomplished. But it was a physics project, Chris. Aren't you interested? Cyclotron. Anyway, the vendor who was selling us the cyclotron went bankrupt. So the guys in our department, the physicists in our department, had to build the cyclotron for themselves. And that took quite a bit of time. And I would not myself go under the knife with that particular cyclotron. It was built by amateurs. But the walls were 8 foot thick. And I was so happy to learn that my room had 8 foot thick walls because it was the terminus of the beam from the cyclotron. So when the project got going, many times during the day, my office would be bombarded with high intensity radiation, hopefully stopped by the 8 foot concrete wall. But I decided not to chance it. And I didn't like the people I was working with anyway. I think that was close to my last real job, and that was in 83. After that, I had a sort of temporary jobs that got increasingly easy to perform because they weren't technical. I was a bodyguard for Dean Martin. And who was the guy that was publisher of, uh, I forget his name, but a Porn King, Larry Flint, and a few others. So when you leave your old occupation behind, which you really hate, in order to support yourself, you can do some pretty interesting things. Things that nobody else would do. But you, because you need the money, do it. And sometimes they entail work that makes no demands on you whatsoever, except to be alive, like some of the night guards kind of jobs. But I digress. Who the fuck are you? Do you know yet? Do you know what you're searching for? Well, don't do it the way I did it. It takes too long, too many years of just sitting as frequently as possible and doing a lot of reading, which I shouldn't have. The best practice is just to relax. Find a nice, comfy chair and relax. And it becomes as carefully considered as any other path. You follow the tension in your body, the lockups that occur, the painful tensions, as well as the more gentle one, especially the ones in the area of the heart. And you just keep relaxing into them. It's not a method that I've seen touted anywhere else. But you take your target to be those tensions in the body that are old things with once you are untethered from them, allow you to dwell in your own body, becoming aware of more and more things inside. I don't think Americans now, or Europeans or Russians, as a race, it's not really racial, but a term, know what it's like to be at the bottom, very, very basement of the vast mansion that each of you is. That's an idea I offered years ago, is the mansion which holds all the rooms of the different meditative states and life states, you might say. All of you, but you've prepared a special way of observing this basement of the mansion's characteristic. And when you finally penetrated through, all the tension is gone. So your attention can go anywhere inside your body or inside your mind. You can do sweeps of your entire body, but I think it's more fruitful just to focus on where you have pain. That's in a blocking pain, because you're always aware of it. No matter how hard you try to move your attention away, it's always there, sort of haunting you. And when that tension goes away, you begin a new feature of being enlightened, so to speak, where now you're totally free of your own body, of the world, the need to listen to any more gurus, because you're swimming in your own existence, which can be summarized as finding the rooms in the mansion of your life. And I began to see other things too. I became very sensitized to death and dying, because those are the final states of a person. And I'm very sensitive to it. I remember when my father died, when I was 14, I was crushed. Even though I hated him, it was really hard to get along with. But his death took me so much by surprise and shock that I grabbed hold of the whole problem of life and death. And I know I read Evan Wentz's books on Mahayana, but also there's a mixture of in the teachings of many bardo states that you go through. So I began to imaginatively talk to him about the bardo states he'd passed through. It was good for me, not good for him. He didn't get anything out of it. I don't think those bardo states ever existed, but they're a nice, dreamy kind of thing to deal with. You think they exist, Mark?
I think that they're an interesting proposition, but nothing is to be taken too seriously as an eventuality.
Our little new guy is calling for Karima to open the bedroom and let him in. And she'll come out soon and lead them in. They're very close. I think they're lovers. I don't think she heard that. She may have. The secret is to search inside yourself and do it in a little relaxed way. And when you encounter tension, follow it until it naturally dissipates because of your attention and integration. And each time you do that, it's like it lifts a burden off of you, but also allows you to drop deeper into the mystery of yourself. I've never reached bottom. I've felt like at times it's been bottom, but I don't know. I just see the variability, both the body and the states that one is exposed to through meditation. And it's a great deal of fun. For months or years on end, you can be a theater of the most astounding energy displays one could ever believe, with energies extending beyond your body to 2 or 3 feet. And you can feel the energies moving around inside your body. And some people, like Angela, felt such ecstatic bliss, she couldn't move for hours. And in the same lifetime, at about the same time, her father was kicking her out of the house. The number of experiences she experienced, as well as the depth she experienced them, I've never seen before in another person. That's Angela Rusenmalen. But she's more or less disappeared. I don't see her on Facebook anymore. She may be up to something else, but I don't know. My power as a teacher is that I spend a lot of time observing all aspects of myself, especially the tensions. Give them priority in your meditations, and they'll move things along more quickly than almost any other thing I ever tried. Also, the energies will hook people to you. Right, Mark? Do you feel the energies anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. And what you've just said, I have been privately expressing recently. You use the word tentacle and hook. And, I've been using similar kind of energy analogies with the contracted self and the apparent impingement of life upon us to be the dualistic contracted self.
I don't know what the hell you said, but maybe somebody else does.
Basically, I'm in agreement with you. I just have a different visual model. Like you have a model of the basement with the spiritual mansion. So I have a contrasted model of the energy straitjacket foisted upon us. The energy straitjacket apparently foisted upon us by life, which endeavors to make us servants of what life, of what society or those around us or what life is trying to make us conform to. But one doesn't have to take delivery of that. That's the mundane self. That's just a visual elaboration of what you call the mundane self. So I just want to slip that in while I have a chance.
Go ahead. You could put out a sign, Guru in training, advanced, over your head for satsang. Yeah, I'll anoint you
That would be nice.
with 3-in-1 motor oil. It'll be very exotic.
I was hoping for some hemp oil, but okay.
You
But
know,
to answer your question, yes, I still feel the energies, but they've taken a back seat to something else.
what's the other thing?
So for years, I've been diving deep and reaching the bottom, like you say, or what seems to be the bottom, going to nothingness for hours each day. And I continue to do that. But what's taken over precedence lately is the continuous, vivid presence of beingness always. So remember, a few years ago, I said to you that what's more important than the vivid, deep states one could experience temporarily is one's habitual, ongoing state. One's habitual, ongoing state is more important than what one can temporarily deepen to. So I've kind of, lately, I've just find my beingness is so vivid and so firm and so automatically continuous that it's just delightful. And just by paying attention to it, there's much less of a need to do any meditation or anything like that. I still do it temporarily, sometimes daily, but it's the ongoingness of the beingness that I recognize and I feel, and it seems to be deepening. So just wanted to say that.
People that first encounter that sense of beingness usually don't know what to do with it. It puzzles them. So they read certain of the neo-Advaitins, and some of them talk about beingness, some don't. But the feeling of beingness has no qualities whatsoever to express about it, really. It brings bliss, yeah, but it isn't bliss. It brings understanding, but only after it leaves. The importance of bliss is it pulls you into yourself. And I think with the recognition of bliss, you realize that what your teachers have told you, like in reading books, is true. You're not the world. You're certainly not the mind. Because the mind doesn't really like beingness, and beingness doesn't care for the mind, except beingness doesn't care for anything, it's just there. So you can do that really as meditation. Hang on to the beingness, focus on the beingness in yourself, and that will take you all the way. You'll have the experiences that still fill your world with. And eventually, the whole thing will disappear. I mean, beingness is there, but everything else disappears. And you'll never be so happy as when you're free to not do anything because you so much enjoy being yourself. But then can join someone else. Yes, yes, Eddie. Enjoy, and you can speak to that level in other people, and it helps them to advance much more quickly. But there is at least one deeper level underneath beingness, which is nothingness, empty space. Oh, 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 oh. In an empty space, there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. And you reach the understanding that now, in a sense, in a large sense, you understand everything that's important to you at a very deep level. You're no longer confined to the rooms of the mansion, which are all relative and temporary. But when you reach emptiness, you have nowhere to go anymore. Emptiness is a very homogeneous state. And you'll find out you don't go through a lot of changes. There's no need for you to change, no desire for you to change, no desire to hang on to the bliss, the joy, even though it may still be there. It's almost like at that point, life leaves you alone. Doesn't give you a lot of problems. And it gives you a lot of time to just be yourself and enjoy yourself without worrying about an alarm clock going off and you have to go into an office. And it's a profound rest. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, understanding nothing, dumb as a rock. So the dumb as a rock is a training device by Sun Tzu, which leads to these final states that I've talked about, where you have a realization of some sort, until the final realization is entering the emptiness at the center of your being and not feeling it need to move anywhere. As far as you're concerned, the world is a useless place to be in. And it's just fine being wherever you are because you carry your shell with you, your shell of body and of understanding. And some people consider this the worst possible mess you can get yourself into, this nothingness. But it's not. It's clean, it's powerful. And I'm sure someday it will reveal its purpose to me. But right now, I know is focusing on your beingness is an extremely rapid way to progress through the energy fields. My white cat is exploring the cushions on the floor underneath the cat tower. He's in the basement of his own experience. It's a good analogy. Cat going through the various rooms of his mansion, until finally you find rest. It's the story of, what's his name? I forget who wrote the book about the supplicant who, at the end of the book, became a ferry boat
Steppenwolf?
pusher. What?
Steppenwolf?
Is that it? No, I don't. Okay, maybe. No, I don't think so.
Siddhartha? Siddhartha?
Siddhartha.
Yeah.
Siddhartha. That's a good book if you want to read it. About a guy who's all messed up trying to seek enlightenment, finding nothing anywhere. And then he has a realization of some sort. And then there's no more searching for him. He just gets a menial job as an armed guard on a ferry. Just kidding. He becomes a ferryman. My life is so different now than when I was going through all those different states at UCLA and afterwards. Life is so much more gentle to me now than it was back then. And I'm more gentle to it. I'm just relaxed and watch what comes and watch what goes. I had a fight with Michael yesterday. That's why he's not here. Veselina's not here. He's pretty overwhelmed. He's with his mother in Tustin. And the final round of chemo is not working. And then he spends the rest of the day trying to make money, dealing in coins, as they call them, forget, like Bitcoin. And he is extremely upset because accounting for the transactions is rather difficult accounting. And I don't know why it should be, but he says it is. And right now he's in the midst of doing an estimated 70 to 80 hours of accounting. And he needs absolute silence to be able to do this work. But Vesselina calls and says, "Where are you? I miss you." But all in all, I called Michael this morning and he was just sleeping in bed. He wasn't coming to Satsang. He's just overwhelmed and burnt out or burning out. That's what being too active in life happens to you. But it was forced on him. So think highly of him positively. Send him some good energy. We'll see if it helps in any way. I'll talk to him tomorrow and see if he felt any better and when it happened. On the other hand, Vesselina feels stress because she lives alone in Bulgaria. She has no friends. We're her friends. So naturally, she looks for Michael to attend to her, give her attention. And when that's withheld, she has a tough time. On the other hand, it's just another job added on to all the other jobs Michael has, taking care of his mother and doing the money making thing through coins. So if you still allow yourself to be taken over by your need to do things, you will be fucked over. But when you come to that big barrier of finding at first the energies inside yourself and then the beingness, beginning at that point where you're tending to the beingness all the time, a lot of things can happen to you. You're very sensitive during this period. But when you go through it, all that I ever found has been relaxation, some joy, and every now and then the feeling of bliss gets very strong and carries me away. But I'm finished. I don't need anything anymore. I'm thinking about turning over all my assets to Karima so she can have everything after I die, which I don't see happening in the near future at all. My mother lived to be just about 100. My aunt was 94. My grandmother was 92 or 94. So I'm going to be forced to hang around for another dozen years or so. And I don't have anything to do anymore. That's why I had to send somebody to get me. I am at rest. I feel rest all day long, but I do feel at times it's a bit lonely. But it's the only thing I've been doing my entire life is trying to find out who I am. The last barrier is beingness and penetrating through beingness to the absence of beingness. That's the so-called basement state. For a while, being aware of beingness feels like the basement state, but there is a state of complete non-attainment, doing nothing, being aware of nothing, beingness. But underneath that, there's nothingness. And I assume someday I'll find something underneath this nothingness. I've never, in the 50 or 60 years I've been doing this, ever found final rest. Because after mastering one thing, something else comes up, another compartment of my life, and I have to live it through my body. I don't read anymore. It's hard even to read instructions on microwave meals. I have to give it to Karima to tell me how many minutes to make it go. It's my eyesight. I used to be able to see, I was so nearsighted, and I could almost see molecules without an aid. But when they operated on my eyes, they put in permanent lenses that make me 20/20 here and 20/40 there. So I don't need the glasses anymore. And except to see up close, I can't see up close anymore. And everything I do is up close, like being on a computer or eating, it's up close. The only traveling I do is to go to doctor's appointments where they find really nothing wrong with me, but they tell me I should do this and I should do that. I usually do that to a certain extent until I forget about it. But you also should apply all of what I'm saying to your own life. What is left that you want? What is left is inside of you. Your whole life has been lived according to rules and experiences coming from without. But you have to turn your attention around and use it to go within the final journey. But it leads to long periods of excitement, of bliss, of joy, especially when the energies are newly discovered and they're coursing through your body. And you spend all day just resting, feeling the energies. Or like Angela, having extraordinary ecstatic states, such that she didn't want to move. She wrote one note that I read. and she was lying on the kitchen floor, utterly smacked down by ecstasies. She couldn't even make it upwards to her bed on the second floor. And she did that a lot, feeling ecstasies. But then she broke off for a while. Because deep down, she had a fantasy to go through, which is the kind of Christian mysticism some people go through, but apparently in Europe is common. It's where they talk about witches and aliens intruding into human life, enslaving them, and how to clear yourself of those entities. Well, I clear myself of these entities by going to sleep. Almost automatically, they're gone by the time I wake in the morning. I don't let the entities bother me because I don't believe in them. So I don't imagine that some feeling I have in my heart or my foot is due to an alien entity trying to entertain and enter me and take me over. But she was terrified of being taken over, and her friends were of the same ilk. Terrified of being taken over, invaded by demons. For her, everything was either spiritually serving God or serving the devils. Let me be a devil to you. Just kidding. Any questions or comments? This is a good one, huh, Cassie? Do you post them anywhere?
Yes, we have a link that we had to make a link somewhere completely different. It's on YouTube, but everybody has the link to go to now. That everybody who has given me their email address. Yeah, and I would have sent it to you as well, but I can send it to you again if you like.
Sure. BJ, let me hear a progress report.
I don't know. Not much progress.
Tell me about it.
I've been chanting a mantra that helps me a little bit focused. The focus is always the issue. I don't know what else to do with that. It doesn't stay with me. I mean, the attention goes away into all
What
kind of
kind of work
things.
do you do? What kind of work do you do?
I do IT.
What part of IT do you know most and enjoy most?
But I just want to stay focused or still. And actually I want to be still, not focused but it's more like relaxed and still. Just be.
Yes. You know, when I was going to school at Case Western Reserve, I had a full scholarship, but I still needed beer money, maintain my apartment. So I got a job being a security guard in the Cleveland Art Museum. That was a wonderful job. For anybody that is near a museum, get a job in security at the place and just keep going to quiet places in the building. Usually they'd assign me to a room, but I had an ability to move around, go to other rooms too, different eras. There are 6 basements in the museum, and 3 of them are devoted to, I forgot. One where a lot of archaeology is involved. But a little later, I got a job, or I had a course on art, fine art. And I was able to go to the art collection of old masters in terms of etchings, paintings. And I fell in love with Van Dyck and Rembrandt and the others. And I found fine art appreciation very easy and lovely. But what a distraction from who you are and what you are. The best of the art were metaphors to that experience. But what we do is to directly find ourselves, not indirectly through secondary feelings generated by an art piece. So security work in a museum is really neat work. You get to do a lot of meditation. And you don't get to do that when you own your own business. You're nailed to it. Sultanat, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a researcher, psychology.
You're what?
A researcher, psychology.
What do you do as a you're a psychologist?
Yes. I research the opinion people.
The what?
Opinion people. I research. What are you doing there, people? My job.
She does the research.
Yeah.
Where? What country?
Out. Where country? Kazakhstan.
Oh. Eddie, what do you do? Where do you live?
Yeah, I currently live in Montrose, Colorado. Been working like a hospital's billing department. Like I post
As
money.
what?
Post money in like a hospital, like billing department.
What about you, Adam?
Coincidentally, I'm an artist. Talking about the fine arts. It's
What kind
interesting
of
you were
What kind of art do you do?
a little of everything, mostly digital recently. Uh, two-dimensional paintings and drawings, and also 3D modeling and some more technical things. But that is a
And
question
you
I
make
had
money
for
doing
you.
it? What? You have a question for me?
Well, it's funny you talked about the art, and because that's always a thing, that had been big part of my identity, and art and design, music, culture, philosophy, and I was wondering now how valuable those things actually are, or if they're to be avoided, or um, distractions, or
It's all of those. It can be a distraction. I don't think much of them as being a tool to get to enlightenment, but more or less a distraction. But it's not nearly as distracting as being a ditch digger. Physical and expenditure of energies is really debilitating when it comes to spirituality. At first, later on, it's no problem. But swinging a pickaxe and getting to the center of your being are pretty incompatible for a long time. But you don't have to do anything like drop it. It has to drop itself. You just lose interest in it. And it no longer bugs you, no longer gets you going. So don't drop it. Just continue your practice.
sounds good.
Chris, why does E equal MC squared? Somebody asked me to explain that to them. And I had read a book on the equation and all the factors, but I forgot all about it. That was my area of interest in physics too. That's why I asked you jokingly, because it was so out of character with self-realization type of explorations. So why does NE equals MC squared? Ask it again. Don't look at her. Okay.
I don't know. Why not?
Why not? It's not an explanation either. Ruminate on that one. I've been thinking about it again. I'm going to have to read that book again. Ian, you have a business somehow that supports you, right?
Yeah,
What is it doing?
we have designed a water filter that creates infused molecular hydrogen, and we sell it all over the world.
You sell the what?
A water filter that creates infused molecular hydrogen.
Huh. That must be flying off the shelves like hotcakes.
Enough.
And Mark, what's it like being retired for you?
Really good. It took me a year and a half to really figure it out. It's it's an abrupt change, but of course it's great. And I live alone, so I have very few demands placed on me. One thing I want to say about E equals MC squared, there's a lot of very interesting things in physics. One of which is that the speed of anything is relative to the speed of the observer, except for light. Light is the same speed no matter how fast or how slow the observer is going. It's always the same. And nothing, it's always the same unless it's in a medium that slows it down. Like in a vacuum, light is always the same speed no matter how fast you're going, which is fascinating. So the speed of light is some kind of absolute in physics that they haven't been able to overcome. It's pretty
Well,
interesting.
for Satsang next time, we're going to have to see that movie, Interstellar. Anybody see that movie yet?
I much prefer 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That's a horrible movie.
No, it isn't. I saw it recently and I thought it was fantastic. I saw Interstellar. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Actually, I didn't like that. Was the one with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about it. I felt it was very wooden, and the acting kind of let me down, especially Matthew McConaughey. I hate to say it, but I just felt it was a very kind of two-dimensional drama. Didn't convince me, so I didn't watch the whole thing. But 2001, I loved it.
I hate it. It's so boring to me. 2001 with that dreary music in it too.
You have to be
I liked
patient and sit through it.
Interstellar because I couldn't understand it. I didn't know what was making the books fall out of the workshop or out of the shelves in the bookshelves they had in their house. All in all, it was pretty much of a mystery, but it had such special effects. It was okay. I love the special effects. What did you have to say, Ian?
I'm just laughing about the fact that you needed special effects to enjoy a movie, because I'm finding myself in a special effects movie all the time. And the fact that the special effects industry has taken over the film industry. That, oh, that was a good movie because it had special effects. What about the story? What about the human emotion? What about the interactions? Nah, special effects are better.
Yeah. Oh, what? What? She came up to my face and yelled at me. Come here. Come. I'm worried about her. She's lost a lot of weight. We've had her to the vet and got some blood tests, and we're going to go back again, I think, in a few days. Let's end it this Friday to read a blood test again to see what has changed and possibly what kind of treatment she can have. But she's 12 years old now, and she's getting into the death zone. Poor cats love to die with almost anything. We had one cat that lived almost to be 22, but that is so rare. That is so rare. But I read all the time on Facebook that this animal's 20 years old or 24 years old or something like that. I don't think I can believe that, because my experience is anytime between 12 and 15, they're going to kick off. And that's not enough life. I feel sorry for them. And I love them so much. Because, in a sense, the relationship with an animal can be deeper than with a human. Much deeper. Because with humans, it's all about the relationship and behaviors that you need to assume in the relationship and about working and all that kind of stuff. But with an animal, they can end satsang in a second. That's no good. So you're going to end satsang that way. But if you have a cat or dog and you're in a quiet place, are you going to go get her now? Just look into their eyes. Just look into their eyes. And you'll feel his or her beingness as being so close to you. It's unlike any meditation experience I ever had. It just floors me. The power of meeting eyes on eyes with another creature, where you're not talking and giving things all the time, but you're just being with them. And with a cat or a dog, they're just very different beings. And being able to commune at that level, there's something magical about it. Now, Eddie wants to communicate with me right now. I think it's to get something to eat. This is the time they eat. I love you all. I really do. I really do. I'll see you Sunday. It'd probably be earlier Sunday morning, so I have a bit of a time to get an idea of what I'm going to say. I hope I didn't disappoint too much today, but it felt pretty good today. All right. I love you. Take care.